Right now, across the UK, thousands of homeowners are waking up, stepping outside, doing what they've always done, and unknowingly breaking a law they never even heard of. No warning letter, no friendly knock on the door, just a fine landing on their doormat or a legal notice arriving without any warning whatsoever. And the worst part, most of these people are completely innocent. They genuinely had no idea. They thought they were being responsible, keeping their property tidy, doing the right thing. But councils up and down this country don't care about your intentions. They care about the rules, and the rules have changed. So before you walk out of your front door today, before you park your car, before you pressure wash your driveway, before you let your hedge grow another inch, you need to watch this video all the way to the end, because what I'm about to share with you could save you hundreds of pounds and a whole lot of stress. Welcome back to UK Fines Alerts, the channel that makes sure you're always one step ahead of the rules, the regulations, and the fines that nobody warns you about. If you're new here, make sure you stay until the very end. This one is important. The background, why this law matters now. Let's start with a bit of context, because this doesn't come out of nowhere. Over the last several years, councils across England, Wales, and Scotland have been quietly expanding their enforcement powers. A combination of new legislation, updated local authority guidelines, and renewed focus on what is called pavement obstruction and highway interference has created a situation where ordinary homeowners are now at risk like never before. What used to be a minor complaint, something a council officer might mention casually while passing, has now become a fully enforceable offence with real financial consequences. And councils are actively looking to raise revenue. Budget cuts have hit local authorities hard, and enforcement fines have become one of the most reliable ways to plug the gap. That means officers are out there. They are walking your streets, they are taking photographs, and they are issuing notices. The key piece of legislation you need to understand is rooted in the Highways Act 1980, a law that has been around for decades but is now being applied in ways that many homeowners never anticipated. Combined with updates from local council bylaws and new guidance issued following the government's review of pavement safety and public accessibility, the result is a framework that gives councils enormous power to act, and act quickly. So what exactly are they looking for? Let me break it down clearly. What the new pavement law actually covers. The first thing to understand is that the pavement in front of your house, even if you've been treating it like your own property for years, is almost certainly not yours. The pavement, the verge, the strip of land between your boundary and the road, in the vast majority of cases, belongs to the highway authority. That means the council controls it, and that means they can tell you what you can and cannot do with it. Now here is where people get caught out. Many homeowners have been placing items on the pavement in front of their homes for years without any issue. Bins left out past collection day, potted plants sat decoratively along the edge, bicycles chained to a railing, skips ordered for renovation work sitting on the pavement for weeks. None of this caused a problem before. Councils turned a blind eye, neighbours didn't complain, life carried on. But under the refreshed enforcement approach now being applied, all of these things can constitute a pavement obstruction, and obstruction of the public highway is a criminal offence under Section 137 of the Highways Act. That is not a civil matter, that is not just a council penalty. That is a criminal offence that can result in a fine of up to £1,000. Let that sink in. A skip sitting on your pavement without a permit. A recycling bin left out 3 days after collection. A pile of garden waste bags that haven't been collected yet. Any of these things, in the wrong council area, with the wrong officer walking past on the wrong day, could land you with a fine that wrecks your finances and leaves a mark on your record. The specific behaviours now being enforced. Let's go through the specific situations that are now being actively enforced, because knowledge is your best protection here. Overgrown hedges and trees are at the top of the list. If your hedge, your tree, your shrubs, or any vegetation on your property is extending out over the pavement and causing an obstruction, the council has the power to issue you a notice requiring you to cut it back. If you fail to act within the time frame given, which can be as short as 28 days, they can send contractors to do it themselves and then bill you for the cost, and those costs are not cheap. We have seen homeowners charged several £100s for what amounts to a couple of hours of basic hedge trimming. On top of that, you may also receive a fixed penalty notice. The rule of thumb being applied by most councils is this: if your vegetation extends more than 1 metre over the pavement, you are already in breach. But some councils are taking action on anything that causes a pedestrian to have to step aside or step off the pavement entirely. Dropped curbs and driveway crossings are the second major area. This is one that catches people completely off guard. If you have been parking on your front garden or driveway by crossing over the pavement, you must have an official dropped curb with council permission. If you do not have that permission, you could be fined and, more significantly, any vehicles parked across an unofficial crossing can be ticketed, regardless of whether they are on your own property. The crossing itself is a modification to the public highway, and that requires approval. People who have been doing this for years, who have never had a problem, are now receiving notices because councils are conducting street-by-street reviews in residential areas. Paving over front gardens is the third area. This one has been in place for a while but is now being enforced more vigorously. If you want to pave over your front garden and the area is more than 5 square meters, you need to use permeable paving, materials that allow water to drain through rather than running off into the street. Impermeable surfaces like concrete or standard tarmac require planning permission. Many homeowners who had their driveways done years ago never obtained that permission and are now, in some cases, being asked to rip them up or pay significant fines. Bins and waste containers left on the pavement are the fourth trigger. Most councils have rules about when bins must be put out and when they must be brought back in. Leaving your bin on the pavement outside of the collection window, typically no more than 12 hours before collection and removed within 12 hours after, is now being treated as a pavement obstruction in an increasing number of boroughs. Repeat offenders are being issued fixed penalty notices. In some areas, those fines start at £80 and can rise to £400 for continued non-compliance. Skips and building materials left without a permit are the fifth area. If you are having any kind of building work done and a skip, scaffolding, or loose building materials end up on the public pavement, a permit is required. This is the responsibility of the homeowner, not just the contractor. If something goes wrong, you cannot simply point the finger at the builder you hired. Councils are pursuing homeowners directly, and permit fees plus retrospective fines for unpermitted obstruction can run into the hundreds of pounds. What councils are doing differently now? So why is this all coming to a head now? What has changed in terms of the enforcement approach? There are a few things happening simultaneously. First, as mentioned, councils are under severe financial pressure, and enforcement revenue is one of the few areas where they can generate income without needing central government approval. Second, there has been a genuine increase in public complaints about pavement accessibility, particularly from disability advocacy groups and older residents who rely on clear, unobstructed pavements. Third, updated government guidance has specifically called on local authorities to take pavement safety more seriously, providing councils with political cover to enforce rules they might previously have let slide. Some councils have also introduced new digital reporting systems that allow members of the public to flag obstructions directly through an app or council website. This means your neighbour or anyone walking past can report your hedge, your bin, your skip, or your driveway in about 30 seconds. And that report goes directly into the enforcement queue. Officers are no longer just responding to complaints. In a number of areas, they are now conducting proactive patrols with checklists and cameras. Evidence is gathered on the spot. Notices are issued the same day, and the appeals process, while it exists, is not easy and does not suspend enforcement action in many cases. What you should do right now. So, what do you actually do with this information? Here is a practical checklist to make sure you are not caught out. Walk the boundary of your property and look at everything that is touching, overhanging, or encroaching onto the pavement. Any hedge or vegetation that is creeping over the footpath needs to be cut back. Do it now before you receive a notice. Check whether your driveway crossing has been properly approved. If you regularly drive across the pavement to access your property, contact your council and ask whether a dropped curb permit exists for your address. If it does not, begin the application process. It costs money and time, but it is far cheaper than repeated fines. If you have paved your front garden, check what type of surface was used. If it is not permeable, you may want to speak to a planning consultant about your options. In some cases, retrospective permission can be obtained. In others, you may need to make modifications. Make sure your bins are stored on your property, not on the pavement when they are not being collected. Know your council's specific collection day and make sure bins are out no earlier than the permitted window and brought back in promptly. If you are planning any building work, make sure your contractor pulls the right permits for any skip or materials that will sit on the pavement. Get it in writing. Do not assume they have done it. And finally, stay informed. This is not a one-time issue. Council rules change, enforcement priorities shift, new bylaws come into effect with very little public fanfare. The best thing you can do is make sure you are regularly updated on what is happening in your local area and at a national level. The thing that upsets most people when they find out about this stuff, and I hear it all the time in the comments, is not the fine itself, it's the fact that nobody told them. They weren't warned. They didn't get a chance to fix the problem first. They just got a penalty notice and were left scrambling. That is exactly why this channel exists. UK Fines Alerts is here to make sure you always know what is coming before it arrives at your door. We are not here to scare you, we are here to protect you, with real information presented clearly without any legal jargon or confusing small print. If this video has been useful to you, and I genuinely hope it has, please share it with someone you know. A family member, a neighbour, a friend who is about to start building work, or who has a hedge that has been getting out of hand for a while. You might save them a significant amount of money and a lot of headaches just by sending them this link. And if you want to stay ahead of every council fine, penalty notice and rule change that could affect your life in the UK, then there is one simple thing you can do right now. Subscribe to UK Fines Alerts. Hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notification. Because new rules are coming all the time, and you deserve to know about them before they cost you. We will see you in the next one. Stay informed, stay protected. Subscribe to UK Fines Alerts, your #1 source for staying ahead of council fines and UK legal changes that affect your everyday life.